It is my favorite time of year. I am in such a good mood. What time of year am I talking about? Graduation season. I love graduation season. First of all, do you remember your graduation? You got the robe on, you got the cap on. Maybe you were smart enough to get those braid things that people get that are really smart. Everyone's celebrating you. Your family comes into town. You finally finished your final exams. You're done. And you've got this casserole of human emotions. You got the sadness, you've got the excitement, and your whole month is all about the last time you're going to get together, the last time you're with your class, the last time you're doing this. And then that, of course, leads to a whole new season of firsts. Oh, it's the first time you're going to do this thing and the first time that you're going to do that thing. It's such a cool moment. And beyond your graduation, I don't know about you, but I love graduation ceremonies. Give me a commencement ceremony and I am a happy camper. Why? Well, you can't sit at a commencement ceremony and not feel inspired. First of all, can we talk about the music? Give me some pomp and circumstance, people, and I feel like I'm going places. I suddenly feel as if I have royal blood in my veins, right? It's so regal. I feel like I need to do something important. I mean, even that song and a robe, you could be wearing a tank top and running shorts underneath, and you feel like you've just earned a doctorate. And so the music, it just sets the scene. And my personal favorite part of a graduation ceremony, I bet you can guess it. That's right, the speakers. Whether the speakers are just a recent graduate, or it's the valedictorian, or the student that the fellow students elected to speak, or it's somebody famous and successful. You cannot hear a graduation speech and not think about your own life. I can't ever remember attending a graduation and not wanting to sprint out of there and go change everything about my life. And just last weekend, I heard one of the best graduation speeches I think I've ever heard. And the speaker was Kevin Feige. He is the chairman, the president, the guy that runs Marvel Studios. So for our Avenger fans out there, Black Panther, Iron Man, Kevin Feige, he is so freaking cool. And you want to know something even cooler? His entire commencement address for USC, it was superhero themed. How freaking cool is that? Not some generic, here are 5 takeaways about resilience kind of bullshit. No, this was personal. It was hilarious. It was poignant. And there were lessons that he shared that I feel personally more applicable to my life than even the graduates sitting there. And so I want to share a few of those lessons with you, okay? So first of all, I love this. Failure is never the end of a hero's story. And it shouldn't be the end of your story either. Second thing that he shared with us. In life, always lead with a yes. That's what a hero does, because the world is always going to say no. Your friends are going to be critical. Your boss is going to have their own agenda. The world says no. You know what a hero says? A hero says yes. A hero says, I can find a way. A hero says, yes, it's worth the risk. In fact, how many times in a superhero movie is there that scene where they're going over and calculating the odds of a mission, and the odds of the mission being successful are 1 in a trillion? What does a hero say? We got to try. I'm going to take those odds, because a hero leads with yes. And that's what makes you a hero. Forget the superpowers, forget the weapons that you may have. What makes you a hero in your life is your ability to say yes, to pick yourself back up, to go for it, even when the odds are against you. That's what is going to make you a hero. And listening to him just last week, I was reminded of a simple truth. You have to be the hero in your own life. There must be some mission, some purpose, some dream that you have that is greater than the day-to-day things that are going to weigh you down. And you've got to be your own hero when it comes to fighting for that thing that you care about. And there will be times that you want to give up. And those moments when you want to give up, those moments where you think you're about to fail, those moments are what define your life. I'll never forget that line that Kevin Feige said. Failure is never the end of a hero's story. oftentimes it's the beginning of one. And that brings me to the episode today. Last year, I met a woman who was about to give up on her dream. See, she had always dreamt of being a touring stand-up comic, and in her wildest dreams, like this is the big one, when she allows herself to be the hero of her own life, she's got a series on Netflix. That is what she's been fighting for. And she had been working hard on this dream for 20 years. And she was about to give up, throw in the towel. I'm done. But what did we learn? That failure is not an option when it comes to your dreams. And luckily for Barbara, she met me right as she was about to give up. And I gave her the coaching session of a lifetime. And what you're about to hear is me picking a woman back up and reminding her that failure is not an option. When you are in the fight of your life to make your dreams come true, you got to do whatever it takes.
So I moved back home 2 years ago.
Where was that?
South Florida, the same place where.
Okay.
And I feel so safe and comfortable for the first time in my whole adult life. And
You
I was
do?
like, yeah. Well, no, not really.
See?
I've been an actor since I'm like 18 years old.
Uh-huh.
And it's been effing hard.
Yeah.
So I started coaching people because I was like, I'm talking about Robbins right now. I love that part too. And I started a podcast. I mean, I started directing and editing documentaries, and I love it.
What's wrong?
I still want to act, and
Yeah.
I'm 46 years old, so I feel like it's okay to be comfortable and small and.
Hold on. It's okay to be comfortable if that's what you want.
Yeah.
It's not okay to be small because that's not what you are. All right, I'm going to say that to you. It's okay to be comfortable. It's not okay to be small. Being too small in life, telling yourself that you should be small, that, it's okay, you know, that's the number one issue. Shrinking yourself. You see, for the last couple of years, every single January, I have taught a course about the science of dreaming. And not just dreaming, but dreaming big. And dreaming big as a way to create a whole new chapter in your life, a way to tap into your potential. And more than 200,000 people around the world have taken this Science of Dreaming course with me. And here's the number one thing that I noticed after teaching this course over and over and over again to people around the world. It's that telling yourself that you're small, putting a lid on your own dreams, on your own potential, convincing yourself that meh is okay, that's the biggest problem. If you're somebody who doesn't know what you want, I guarantee you it's because you do things that make you feel small, and then you tell yourself that's okay. And here's the thing that I'm really worried about. I'm worried about the fact that if you continue to do this, if you continue to tell yourself, I don't know what I want, I can never have it, I'm 46, I tried, it's hard, it's not going to work out for me. If you are the one that is against your big dreams in life, that is the reason why you're unhappy. That you are the single biggest, loudest voice for why you can't have what you deserve. That is the source of misery. That is the source of feeling lost. And so we got to stop that right now. Because the fact is, I don't care how long you've worked on your dreams, how long you've avoided your dreams, how long you've been scared of your dreams, how long you've downplayed your dreams. Those dreams are still very much alive inside of you. You're not supposed to be small. You're not supposed to be arguing against your dreams. Let other people do that. You're the one who's supposed to have the biggest and the loudest and the brightest voice when it comes to the matter of your dreams. You know, it reminds me of this quote that I just love. Let your light shine so bright that other people can find their way out of darkness. You know, if you're not supposed to be small, what are you supposed to be? You are supposed to be this big, beautiful flame. That flame that is burning so bright inside of you as you're marching toward the things that really call to you. That's your self-expression. That's your happiness. That's your creativity. That is a human being that is alive. And for those of you that look at me and that you're like, oh my God, Mel, like you're just so inspiring. You keep reinventing yourself. Every time I reinvent myself, do you know how I do it? It's because I start to realize I'm feeling small. I start to realize that I'm feeling a little lost, that I'm feeling the energy drain, that I'm not feeling like a flame burning bright, that I'm full of excuses. And I do this exercise that I'm going to share with you right now to get me back in touch with that dream that you can never run away from. Because what are you learning from me? Your dreams are meant for you. And they are either going to be something that you pursue that helps you become brighter and more emboldened and more of yourself, or they're something that's going to haunt you. I can give you example after example after example of this. I'll give you an example in my own life. So in 2007, so we're talking 15 years ago, I got a part-time job on Saturday mornings hosting a local call-in radio show in Boston, Massachusetts. I absolutely loved that radio show. Loved it. And from the moment I hosted the first call-in show, I knew this is exactly what I want to do in life. And the truth is, I even knew it before. And the reason why I knew it before is because I had been a humongous fan of Howard Stern. I mean, I listened to Howard Stern way back in the day when he was like shock jock material before he went through psychotherapy and became really amazing at interviewing people. Like back in the really disgusting days, I was a Howard Stern junkie. And there was something about the energy of listening to Howard and everybody on the show that I just felt drawn to it. I could not stop thinking what an amazing thing it would be to be able to do that with your life. And so here I get years later to be on the mic. I'm hosting this show. I absolutely love this show. That show ends up growing into a weekday show. I end up winning an award. Next thing you know, CNN is calling. And I find myself then in 2011 leaving radio and going onto television as a legal analyst for CNN. But here's the thing. Radio never left me. Every time Howard Stern would pop up on my dial, I would feel the pull. As podcasting started to happen and become a thing in 2011, 2012, and I started seeing more and more podcasts pop up, I started to feel the pull. What is that pull? It feels like jealousy. It feels like longing. It feels like desire. It feels like sometimes it can feel like inferiority, that you get close to your dream and you want it so badly that you literally put up all kinds of reasons to protect yourself from your dreams. So maybe it's the people you're really insecure around. That's my daughter. She has a dream of being a singer-songwriter, of doing stadium tours. Just the other day, I saw that Taylor Swift had just done something that nobody's ever done. She's got all 10 songs on the Billboard 100 top 10. Freaking unbelievable. And I texted it to my daughter. And you know what she texted back? Please don't send this stuff to me, because I'll never be able to do that. You know what that is? That's somebody who is deeply in touch with their dreams, but they're terrified of them. And so we're going to talk about that. But what I want to explain to you is there is something inside of you, and you know it. There is something meant for you. And you are either so afraid of it that you push it away, or you long for it, like I did. Since 2011, if you watch my TEDx talk, which now has 29 million views, you will notice that in that TEDx talk, I talk about my goal. Back in 2011 on that stage, I said, my goal is to be the #1 radio host in the world. So here we are, 11 years later, and we're launching the podcast. And it's taken me 11 years to get closer than ever to the thing. For these past 11 years, have I stopped thinking about the dream? Nope. Have I noticed other people that are pursuing my dream? Yep. Have I felt jealous? Have I felt insecure? Yes, I have. All of those, just like you do. That is evidence that your dream is alive. What we're going to do next is we're going to talk about the fact that once you get in touch with this dream, you know what you're going to do? You're going to do what everybody does. You are going to start arguing against it. You're going to start making jokes. You're going to start making excuses. You're going to start getting afraid. Because once this dream keeps showing up on that piece of paper every morning, once you start to feel the pull of your heart, once you start to notice, as I have for the last 8 years, that everybody and their mother has a podcast except for me, you're going to start to feel the pain of not working toward it. And instead of turning toward our dream, you know what we all do? We do what you're going to hear Barbara doing back in LA. You're going to hear her kicking up a dust storm of excuses, of jokes, of reasons, of this. But here's the difference. She had Mel Robbins on her ass that day, and I was not going to have any of it. Because your dreams are not a joke. Your dreams are serious business that demand and deserve your attention. What if you lived in South Florida and you were comfortable and you were big?
And I was big?
Big. Like big, big, big.
Well, I tried that.
Okay.
I actually am like a big fish in like the Jewish community.
Yeah, but so hold on a second.
Yeah.
Stop making a joke of this.
Okay, I'm sorry, Ray.
No, I'm serious.
Yeah.
Because this is how you block
Yes,
honesty.
that's true. Yep. Yeah, I'm funny.
So you are funny.
No,
But being unhappy is not funny.
no, it's really, really, really not. Especially when you have a sister who's like so good at being happy.
Yeah, but stop making jokes.
Sorry, it's so hard not to. You're so amazing. I want
no.
to entertain you.
No, I don't want you to entertain me. I want you to be honest with me.
Okay. Hi.
So what do you want? Do you want to move back to LA and give it another try?
Yes, and I almost did, and then I was like, politics and crime, and I'm scared.
So this, what you're witnessing here, is you're witnessing somebody who is literally trying to extinguish her own flame with jokes. And you are not having this moment of reckoning with yourself.
Yeah.
I am telling you
Yeah.
that what you're witnessing, we all do this shit. You maybe do it through excuses or heaviness in terms of your emotions or the pity party or the, like for me, always kind of scanning for what's wrong, and if I don't see it out there, I find it in here. Your form of this is jokes. It's how you get attention, it's how you get love, and it has so overtaken you that you're not even honest with yourself about what you want. And the second you get honest with yourself, like this is no joke, like at the end of this, you die.
Yeah.
And so you can absolutely be a happy person. You can be big. You can be big in South Florida or in LA, but you're not going to do it by making a joke about everything. And it begins with you being serious with yourself. Like you don't have to share it here, but what you write in that journal better be honest.
Yeah.
Because it can't be funny. Like your dreams are not funny. Your dreams are serious business. And you have within you the ability to literally write it down and say, by God, I'm going to do whatever it takes until this happens. Because here's what would be way worse, everybody. What would be way worse is that you spent the next 40, 50 years wishing you had done it. Do you hear everybody there? I want to talk to you because I'm serious about this. You have to be honest with yourself. I do not want you to spend another day wishing you had done it. I'm sitting here right now with everybody that is on our team as we're recording this podcast, and I'm looking at everybody, and I'm thinking, my God, I'm looking at Cameron, and I'm like, she almost went to law school, and she felt this flame inside her going, go in a different direction. She didn't know what to do next. She just knew that something else was meant for her. Thank God she didn't go to law school. Thank God she turned toward that pull. Thank God she fanned the flame. Because here's the one tool you need. This is the only tool you need in order to align with your dreams. Every single day when you wake up, you're going to do you're going to write down the 5 dreams. That's a way to get your desires flowing again. That's a way to teach yourself how to start dreaming with the lid off. That's a way for you to really start to get yourself in touch with what your mind, body, and spirit are trying to wake you up to and have you pay attention to. The things in your life that make you come alive, that make you grow. You're supposed to walk toward that light. You're not supposed to argue against it. And so every single day, you're going to be working on, okay, I got to let myself desire things. I got to give myself permission to want things. Like, I'm allowed to do that. Not only am I allowed to do that, I actually need to. It's part of my life force. And I'm not saying you're just going to sit around and wish for shit to happen. You're going to have to work for it. That's how you get it in life, but you won't get where you're meant to go if you can't even claim what's meant for you. And it is a practice of honesty. And it's a practice of giving yourself permission. It's a practice of worthiness. It's a practice of self-love. And so you're going to start there, but let me tell you the simple thing every single day when you wake up. You can just ask yourself, am I for or against my dream today? Am I for or against my dream? It's really that simple. Your dreams are your responsibility. Are you for them today? Or are you against them? There's no middle ground, by the way, because if you're neutral, you're against. You are either for that dream inside you or you're against it. So what does that mean? Well, when you're arguing against your dream, guess what? You're not for it. When you're making excuses, are you for it? No. When you are afraid of it happening or not happening, are you for it? No. Being for your dream is, first of all, being in touch with it. So simply being in touch with it and claiming it, that's a way to be for it. Another way to be for it is to see reasons why it's your dream, to see evidence that it could happen, to see everybody else out there. In my world, it was people that were launching podcasts. Instead of seeing them as reasons why my flame was out, see them as evidence that, yes, my flame too is going to burn brighter, that they are lights on the path. I said earlier that it is essential when you're going through a challenging time. Your dreams matter more than ever then. Because if you give up on your dreams when you're feeling lost or on autopilot or you're facing heartbreak, you literally give up a lifeline that is part of your DNA. See, your dreams remind you that this challenge is temporary. Your dreams remind you that there's something greater ahead. Your dreams remind you that this moment, it's a blip. It's a dot. It's part of the path leading you somewhere that you're meant to go. Your dreams help you through challenging times. So don't give up on them. You got to double down on them if things are challenging. That's the best time to create something new. That's the best time to tap into that fire inside you. You need that fire at that time. That's why it's there. You see, I think your dreams have this incredible purpose that nobody understands. What if I told you you're actually not supposed to achieve your dreams? Yep, you're not supposed to achieve your dreams. The reason why I can say that is because your dreams are not a destination. Your dreams are a directional signal. Your dreams are like this compass inside you, this GPS system that's hardwired in you. You were born with it. It's like a beacon, a lighthouse out in the future. It's pulling you through your problems towards something greater. It is showing you that there's something awesome to look forward to. It's giving you a reason to have hope, something bigger to believe in. Those dreams pull you through your fears. They make you grow. They push you through your self-doubt. That's why they're there. They show you the way. It doesn't matter whether you achieve them or not. What matters is, do you hear the call? Do you fan the flame? Do you wake up every day and allow yourself to feel those things that are meant for you and fan the flame and be the person that is the force, the yes, the loudest voice for them? It doesn't matter what everybody else thinks. Who gives a shit what anybody else thinks, honestly? And if they haven't achieved your dreams, why the fuck are you asking their opinion anyway? They don't know how to get there. And your dreams, by the way, are not meant for somebody else. That's why they don't understand them. And here's another thing that you're doing. You are literally looking for validation from people who can't even cheer their own selves on. Like, how can somebody who's not even pursuing their dreams help or celebrate you as you're trying to pursue yours? See, this comes back to it being your responsibility. This is an inside job. And when you really wrap your brain around this, life gets freaking magical. Doesn't mean it's always like roses. Doesn't mean it's going to be easy as you walk toward those dreams. But there is nothing more fulfilling than waking up every day and knowing that you are the loudest cheerleader that you got. Knowing that you believe that this thing is possible. Knowing that you're the one that's for this, that you're validating the things that are deep inside of you. That is an incredible way to go through life. And so every single day, you're going to be waking up. You're going to be writing your 5 things down. You can go to melrobbins.com/dream big because I want you dreaming big. I want you dreaming big. In fact, you don't even realize how much you limit yourself. Kathy Heller, who did that live event with me in LA, she has this really amazing thing that she does that I've heard her do, and I'm going to share it with you, but this is her idea, so I want to give her credit. I want you to imagine there's a blank check in front of you. Blank check. And you could pay yourself whatever you want to make this year. Whatever you want to make this year, go ahead and write it down on that check. What'd you write? $100,000, $250,000, $500,000, $1 million. Who wrote that number? I'll tell you who wrote the number. The lid. Why not 5 million? Why not 10 million? And again, if you can just play with me that your dreams are not meant to be achieved. They're not the destination. They're a directional signal. Maybe you're supposed to write 5 million down because that's going to inspire something in terms of your self-worth. It's going to awaken something. Instead of thinking about what's possible, tap into what's true. You would love that. In fact, you'd be willing to work for that if I could convince you could make it happen. And so the problem is you limit what you claim for yourself because you're thinking about what's possible or what you deserve instead of tapping into what you actually desire. That's a huge mistake. See, a car can probably go 180 miles an hour. That's sort of like, I'm going to drive 40. You haven't even tapped into the potential. I mean, obviously you don't want to get pulled over and, it could be illegal on the ride. You know what I mean by that analogy.
Hi, my name is Jessica. I currently live in Southern New Hampshire and I'm 39 years old. How can I get started on my dreams and make them a reality? Where do I start, Mel? There's so much self-doubt. It's overwhelming and I just don't know where to begin.
Okay, I love this question from Jessica because I can almost hear you nodding. I can feel it. Even though I can't see you, I can feel you going, There. How do I get started, Mel? This is the single most common question I get. Once somebody knows what they want to change or why they want to change it, the next big question is how. And so I'm going to answer Jessica's question in two parts because there are two parts to how. The first part is easy. It's the doing part. And how you get started when it comes to taking action and you don't know what to, quote, do, this is easy. Just go to Google. I'm dead serious about this. Google has the answer to everything. If you simply go to Google or go to YouTube and type in the change you want to make or the goal that you have or the thing that you want to create in your life, you will probably get 6.3 million search results. And every single one of the links that you click on will give you a long list of things that you could probably do. And I'm not being a smartass here. The fact is, the steps that you need to take action-wise are super simple. The reason why you're stuck is because of the second part of her question. Now, did you notice she said at the very end, my self-doubt, my self-doubt? Because one of the reasons why you get stuck is because of the doubt. And this is where working on your dreams and your goals gets really tricky. Because if your own mindset is working against you, you're actually never going to feel inspired or motivated or encouraged to take the actions that Google result just told you to take. And so we got to focus on your mindset first and foremost when it comes to where do I start? Because I want to play this out with you. Let's just role play here. If you're sitting there going, I would love to become an opera singer, but I don't know, but self-doubt, but what if I sound stupid, but this, but that, but what if Uncle Willie's... If you start doubting your ability to make that happen, how motivated do you feel? If you're sitting there telling yourself that you can't do it or that it's not going to work. This is the reason why most people never even get started on their goals and dreams. Their thinking pattern is the problem because their self-doubt, their perfectionism, their lack of self-worth, it's convincing you not to take the action. And this is such a common problem that Jessica's not the only one that has actually submitted a question about this. I got a ton of them. And that brings me to our very first question about happiness from a listener named Andrea.
Hey Mel, it's Andrea. Can you talk about happiness? I can't think of a time that I have felt true happiness. I'm just living, I guess. I feel that something is missing, and I believe it's happiness.
Andrea, I love the way you framed that question. And for you listening, I'm going to put that question right back to you. Can you think of a time that you felt true happiness? Or are you like most people, that you feel like something is missing from your life and you can't quite put your finger on it? You know, when I hear Andrea's question, I can totally relate to it because I know I felt the way that she's feeling. And one of the mistakes that I was making when I felt like something was missing is I, of course, went on the search. I got to find happiness. And here's the first piece of research that I want to talk about. Research says that happiness or that feeling that we're seeking of happiness, it's often fleeting because we are searching for happiness in the wrong places. In fact, researchers at Rutgers and the University of Toronto found that people who pursue happiness, you're chasing it, you're looking for it outside yourself, you often feel like you don't have enough time in the day. And this paradoxically makes you feel unhappy because when you feel like you don't have enough time in the day because you're constantly chasing all these things outside of you, you start to feel like you're not in control of your life. And I think that's what Andrea is talking about, that we're all chasing down some version of happiness that we think we're supposed to be chasing, right? That society has marketed some version of life to us. And that's why you probably are familiar with that phrase, I'll be happy when. We all succumb to that thinking. I'll be happy when I lose the weight, I fall in love, I land that dream job, I pay off my bills. I get into my dream school. I find the perfect apartment. And there's multiple problems with thinking like this. First of all, if you think that you'll be happier when you achieve something, what always happens is when you achieve it, you're not as happy as you thought you would be. And then all of a sudden, because you don't have this big goal in front of you anymore, your happiness plummets. And so the research is very, very clear that these big events that we're chasing, that we think are going to give us a boost of happiness, that happiness doesn't last. And there's a second reason why this kind of thinking, that you'll be happy at some point in the future, why this is really problematic. It's because you are anchoring your happiness on something that hasn't happened yet. That means your happiness is something you have to earn. Your happiness is something that's outside of you. And that's not what happiness is at all. Happiness is always within your control. Happiness is something that you want to cultivate in your life where you are right now. And the good news is, you don't have to wait to be happy when. You can learn to be happier now. So let me explain, based on the research, how happiness works when it comes to you individually. So there's this formula that's supported by the science that says you have 100% capacity for happiness. That's what you got. Your cup can be full and runneth over. 100%, baby. Happiness is for you. 50% of that capacity is genetics. That's your default. So you might be somebody that has 50% genetics that are preset to being very sunny and kind of bubbly and happy. Or 50% of your genetics might be like, meh, you're kind of grumpy. That's okay, because you still have the other 50% to play with. 10% of the rest is based on the circumstances that you're facing right now. And 40% of happiness, period, in your life right now is completely under your control. And that's what we're going to focus on, because that's awesome. No matter what kind of family you were born into, no matter what you're facing right now in your life, 40% of your capacity for happiness right now completely in your control. And so before we go forward, I want to make sure that as we're talking, that we're in complete agreement about what the word happiness means. Because when you and I use the word happy or happiness, we might be saying totally different things. There's a huge spectrum when people use this word. Researchers even talk about the fact that happiness is all over the map. Some people, when they say happiness, they mean laughing and having a good time. Other people mean fulfillment or thriving or kicking ass in life. And so you and I are going to have a conversation right now about what you mean when you say happiness. Where are you on the spectrum between laughter and having a great time to feeling completely fulfilled and thriving in life? And so in order for you and I to get on the same page, I'm going to bring a metaphor in. You know Mel Robbins. She loves her metaphors. She loves her visual explanations for these big, heady concepts. And thankfully, I got a great one for happiness. So whenever you hear the word happiness, I want you to think about an ocean. There are waves in an ocean, and that's one spectrum of happiness. And waves come and they go. And having fun in the waves requires you to jump in the waves, to get into the ocean, to decide that you're going to go have fun. But then if you think about the ocean, there are days that there's no waves at all. It's perfectly still. And the ocean itself and your ability to stand in that ocean, to float and to swim, that's a deeper form of happiness. Or what about the days where the ocean is stormy and you wouldn't dare go in? But on those days that you're on the beach, aren't you so present to the wind, to the salt, to the waves crashing on the beach? That's what I want you to think about. That huge range of how an ocean shows up. And I love this metaphor of an ocean for happiness, the waves being fun and the still ocean being your ability to just experience happiness, and you being present even on the stormiest days to the little details I love this range because it ties right back to all of the research, but it gives us a visual. So let's get started. Why don't you just go ahead and tell me what is the challenge that you're facing and how can I help you?
Oh, okay. I am stuck.
Okay.
Like, I feel like I am in quicksand, and every time I try to move, I sink. Um, and I've been on the personal growth or development for years. I've read like all these self-help books, I've done programs, but I still feel like I'm 44 now, and I feel like life has passed me by. I feel like I'm in a job pays the bills. It's not fulfilling. I thought that I'd be in a, relationship, have a husband, have kids by now, but don't. I, the, the relationship with myself is not where I'd like it to be. And I also uh, I'm in the worst shape that I've ever been in my life. And I look at myself in the mirror and I'm just like, okay, those 30 pounds, where did they come from? Oh, yeah, that's right. You made all these choices of eating bad food, right? And so I just feel like I don't know what to do. I don't know where to start. I don't know. Well, I do know where to start, but at the same time, I don't. I feel like I don't know where to start. So I just feel like, yeah, I don't know where to go from here because I read all the books, because I've done all of that stuff. I'm just like, but I'm still here.
Mm. Okay. Thank you for sharing all of that. And what I got is that you're in a job that's not fulfilling, but it pays the bills. That you're in the worst
Mhm.
shape of your life and you have put on an extra 30 pounds, that you are not where you thought you would be in your personal life because at the age of 44, you thought you'd be married and have 4 kids. And your relationship with yourself is also in the gutter. And on top of all of this, you have been somebody that has read all these self help books. You are interested in personal development, and yet you still feel very stuck. Did I get it? Is there
Yes.
anything else?
You got it in a nutshell, pretty much. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, do you want to hear the good news or the bad news?
Let's go for the bad news.
Okay. So, the bad news is that you are going to have to push through the emotion and the resignation that has built up. That's the bad news. That your own story, that you are not where you should be, that you made all these bad choices, that none of the stuff that you do is actually going to result in the big changes that you want. The bad news is your own attitude and story and emotions are going to be the biggest obstacle in your way. Do you want to know the good news?
Yes. Let's get some good news on there.
Well, what happened? I saw your face kind of go like, oh, when I
Yeah.
said the bad news. So what was your reaction to the bad news?
Shoot. It's like I gotta do this. It feels overwhelming. It feels like this is some work, some real work that I have to do. And it feels like daunting.
Why does it feel daunting?
So I feel like I have so much work to do. I feel like there's just this insurmountable mountain that is just unattainable. But then there's another part of me that's like, no, it's not. Like, you can do this. You've got this. But there's that part of me that's just like, Ricky, it's not going to happen for you.
And are you experiencing the life that you want to be living right now?
No. There's moments. There's moments, yeah. But the overall, no.
Okay.
No.
See, the thing is that the reason why the mountain feels insurmountable is because you've convinced yourself that it's too late. That's the only reason why it feels insurmountable. The work is the work. And the work that will change your life and get you in shape and help you find a fulfilling career and get your life force back and have you have a wonderful relationship with yourself. And when that happens, the right person walks in. The work you need to do is the same work everybody needs to do to have those things. It's the story that you're telling yourself that you're already fucked up and that it's too late and that it's going to require too much and it's not going to happen. That's the only reason why you haven't gotten started. If I could tell you that the best years of your life were ahead of you, would you do the work?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
The best years of your life, Ricky, are ahead of you.
You know what? There's a voice in my head right now. And that voice says, this is BS. And the best years of your life were before. Like when you were 22, when you were in your 20s. That's what there's this recording back there that's saying that. And it's so frustrating. It's extremely frustrating because I want to believe it. I want to believe you when you tell me that my best years are ahead of me. And I have friends who tell me that the best years are ahead of me. It's like, why can't I believe that? Why can't I take what you're saying and actually truly hang on and believe it 100%? Because that's really what I want.
There's a number of
Because I got to
reasons.
believe it to achieve it, right?
Yeah. There's a number of reasons why. Number one, you've been telling yourself the other story for so long that it's not going to happen. That's become your belief. Number two, because that's been your story, that it's not going to happen, and you're sad about that, your actions in your day-to-day life, your routines, your rituals, your habits, they now match that story. And so you have started to align with a person who believes that the best days of her life are behind you, which is why you're not taking care of your health. It's why having a job that is slowly sucking your soul dry but paying the bills is enough. It's why you've kind of given up or lowered your standards when it comes to the kind of person that you want to attract. Your actions keep you stuck because your actions are the kind of actions that somebody who doesn't believe that the best days of their life are ahead of them are taking. And so the solution is to figure out what the day-to-day life looks like of a woman who believes that the best days of her life are ahead of her. And by God, she's going to act that way. And I also have a suspicion. I have a suspicion that something happened to you, either in your late 20s or in your 30s, that knocked you on your ass and knocked you off track, and you haven't recovered from it. Because it strikes me that you say, my 20s were the best time of my life. And so tell me about what was going on in your 20s that made you feel like it was the best time of your life. And then I want to know what the hell happened that changed it.
I feel like in my 20s, I was more confident. Um, I was doing the things that I liked. What really happened? My dad died.
Okay. How old were you?
He died when I was 28. Um, yeah. And after that, there was some depression that happened and, you know, um, some significant breakups that
Mm-hmm.
happened. And I feel like those were just like probably things that kind of crushed me.
Exactly.
And I just didn't really recover.
There you go. That's what happened. You experienced profound loss. And the loss of your father, followed by the breakup of a significant relationship, spun you around. And you have an opportunity to figure out, what does it look like for you in your life now to create that foundation that got ripped out from underneath you when you were in your late 20s. If I had to describe it, I would say that you went through a great loss and you have spent a decade grieving. And whether you realized it or not, and that in the past couple years, you've spent these past couple years kind of waking up from that and being disappointed with where you are.
Mm-hmm.
And that's okay. It's okay. And one of the reasons why it's so easy, Ricky, to find yourself in a situation where you've read all the books, you listen to the podcast, but you do nothing, is because I think you're stuck also in a kind of freeze trauma response in your body where things kind of stopped moving forward when your dad died. And you went into kind of this mode. I kind of had this vision of you almost like hunkered down, waiting for the next thing to happen. So, like, you go into this mode of not dreaming, not going for it like you used to in your 20s, but narrowing your focus to just getting through the day. And when you read all the books, you gain knowledge, right? That stays right up here. But what you're dealing with is you're dealing with something that happened to you in your heart and your soul. Is any of this landing for you?
Yeah. Yeah. And it's the strangest thing is that I've never really put that together. Like I never really connected that. Um, like I didn't really feel like I've been grieving over for 10 years. I felt like when people ask me like when I think about my dad passing away, I feel like I've grieved and I feel like I've moved forward and I feel like I'm okay with it. I didn't really connect my being stuck in my life to that.
So I think in some ways you gave up on your own
Mhm.
dreams. And then the breakup happened. And maybe were you with somebody that you thought you were going to marry?
I did. And it's weird because it's not just one relationship. It was like every relationship that I kind of got into afterwards, it was just like, I don't know. I can't even really explain it. But in my mind, I believed that more would come of it.
Mm.
And I'm embarrassed even like talking about this right now.
Why?
Um, why? Um, because you don't want to be that person that thought there was more and then there really wasn't. And I feel like that's what I have been. And yeah, that's why and it hurts. um, yeah.
So, I can see why that would hurt. And I want you to consider looking at those relationships through a different lens because we're going to start working on the story that you're telling yourself. Because part of the relationship story is I'm a failure, I fall for people, and I think that it's going somewhere and they don't want me the way that I want them. I'm a failure. And I have a hunch, and again, we just met, but I have a hunch that if you were to look back on those string of relationships that didn't work after your father died, you were coping with your grief. You were not showing up healed, whole, confident you. You were showing up in those relationships with a hole that grief had created. And so when you get into a relationship and you get attached to somebody because they are filling a need that you have that you can't do in your own life, that's when things get out of balance. And because you were grieving, and I get the sense from you because you strike me a little bit like me, that you thought you were fine. So we're going to move on and we're going to keep working and we're going to go forward with life. And now I'm going to meet this person and everything's okay because I don't want to scratch on that deeper thing that's really painful because I'm okay and I'm going to be tough. And yet you carry all that stuff with you. And I think that's what happened in your relationships. That you were so wanting to be, basically to disappear in a relationship and to feel safe again, that you fall very quickly and then you misread the room. And that's it. That's all that happened, again, because of the grief. And this is all very normal. And when you start to see that things aren't lining up the way that you expected, you start to feel bad about yourself and you start to wonder what's wrong with me. And there's nothing wrong with you. Nothing. And what you get to do now, Ricky, is we get to say today is day one of you reclaiming your happiness and taking your life back and healing what needs to be healed and defining for you what does a really fun and exciting life look like. And so I want to walk you through a super simple exercise, okay?
Okay.
I can see you processing. What emotions are coming up for you?
I don't want to cry.
Why?
Because I feel like if I cry right now, it'll be really ugly. cry.
Great.
And it'll just be really sobby and
Great. What are the tears about?
letting go.
Mm-hmm.
I I am so used to, this might sound really crazy, but so used to feeling a certain way that imagining feeling differently feels almost uncomfortable.
What is the way that you're used to feeling? Let it come up.
That is not, doesn't matter how much I, that how much good comes into my life, like it will never be how I want it to be. Like I will never get to where all the things that I desire, they'll actually never, it'll come so close, but not for me. It happens to everyone else around me, but it
Mm-hmm.
won't happen for me.
Mm-hmm. Well, it definitely won't if that's your belief. Because you won't let it in.
Yeah.
And is this the way you want to experience life?
No, no, no.
And what would you have to change about the way that you live your life or the story that you tell yourself in order to have a different experience?
I would have to change that story. I would have to change that belief. I would have to
Yeah.
do things differently.
Yes. You'd have to cry. And the tears are super important because in the on the topic of your dad, all the tears that you cry over somebody that has died, it's just the love that you didn't get to express while they were here. So it's a way to let love into your life. All the tears that you need to cry over disappointment that you're letting go, that's the baggage and the shame and the kind of beating yourself up that you've been doing for years. That's like a backpack that you drag around. It's a way to release that. You focus so much on holding it together and being strong and moving forward. And then at the same time, like mounting all this evidence for how things are not working, that you're not letting love and joy and connection in. You're protecting yourself from it and you're building a case against it. So many people do this. I did this for so many years too. And, I want you to think about something. Maybe this will help.
Mhm.
Because I can tell you what to do, Ricky. I can literally, and I will. I'll give you the domino that you need to tip first that will trigger a ton of other change. And if you just start chipping away at it, we can change absolutely everything. You can lose weight. You can start feeling like you're in your 20s again. You can change your job. You can get support and heal and really do the work to complete and feel present with your dad. You can forgive yourself for whatever you're doing, or you can forgive yourself for how you spent the last 14 years. You can do all that.
Mm-hmm.
The doing is the easy part. But I want you to have a deeper experience in what you're saying to yourself. And you won't believe it in the beginning. But we got to figure out what you want to believe. And then we're going to list a series of rituals that you're going to do every day that are the actions that a person that believes that their life is amazing, that the best days of their life are ahead, that they deserve to be healthy and happy and vibrant and alive and in love. We got to start aligning your day-to-day actions with the belief that you want to be driving your life. And so that part's easy. It really is, because it's just, here's the shit you need to do. Fucking do it. That's it. Like that's change. But there's a deeper breakthrough for you. And I would classify it as letting love in. And I have this visual that I use in my mind because I didn't realize how much I blocked love.
Mm-hmm.
I like to think about like your heart and your life as having a door, right? That separates you from the rest of the world. And for many, many years, the door between me and my heart and soul and the rest of the world was this like freaking mid-century steel thing that you would see on a castle that is impenetrable, right? Because I didn't trust people. I didn't love myself. I didn't feel like I was worthy. I saw all kinds of reasons why I'd fucked things up, why I was a bad person. And as I've done more and more work to be kinder to myself, to change the story about what I want to experience in life, I've started to convert that door. I did a renovation project. I got rid of that door and I put the kind of doors that you see into a kitchen in a restaurant, you know, that's got the tooth and they swing back and forth, because it allows me to be more present to when I'm letting love flow to other people. And more importantly, when I allow the love to flow back to me. Does that resonate at all with you?
Yes and no.
Okay.
I'll tell you why it doesn't, and maybe you can help me with it because maybe
Okay,
it
great.
does, and I'm not seeing it. So I am, and my heart is completely just open for everybody and anyone.
Okay.
Like, and when I say that, I'm just like, I'm that friend that's always there. I'm that sister or that person that's always there, holding space for everybody else, being the rock for everyone else, loving. And not because I don't want to, because I really do. I
Yep.
really do. And so I give so much love. And I do receive love. I think that I do, but maybe I don't. I don't know. I just, you're shaking your head like, no.
Rocks typically don't allow a lot of love in. And if you're spending a lot of your own energy beating yourself up and feeling disappointed and settling, that's going to block love that everybody has to give to you. No, 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 no. The best days of my life are not ahead. No, 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 no. No, I don't need help. No, I'm okay. No, you don't have to go with me there. No, I can handle this on my own. No, I don't look good in this dress. That's not true.
Okay. Yeah, I, I, I do that.
Me too. Or used to. So, what do you think changed when your dad died?
Um, I really don't know. I feel maybe I've always wanted to make him proud of me.
Mm.
Um, and when he died, I felt like I didn't get the chance to do that. and that I never will get the chance to do that. Even though he never said that. He never told me he wasn't proud of me. He actually told me before he passed that he was, but I guess I just didn't really believe it because I wasn't proud of me. And I just never got the chance to really, yeah, I never got the chance to really show him who I could have been, who I believed I could be.
Thank you for going there. That's what happened. You're the one who decided that was the expiration date on you doing and living and being who you want to be. And, you know, there's that term I've seen a lot of people talking about called quiet quitting. It's almost like you quietly quit on your own ambition and your own dreams. And so I want to reclaim that for you, okay? Because what's your dad's name?
Joe.
Joe. Joe's still here.
Mm-hmm.
Joe's watching. Joe is proud of you. This isn't Joe's shit. This is your shit. And here's the great news. You do have your entire lifetime to make yourself proud. And Joe's watching. And so your first assignment for me is I want you to write a letter to Joe, your dad.
Mm-hmm.
And I want you to thank him for being so proud of you. And I want you to tell him that you miss him. And you still feel that he's here. And you thank him for being with you and guiding you. And that you are writing this because you wanted to make a promise to yourself and a promise to him that you are going to go and do some amazing things. In your lifetime. And is he buried somewhere?
Yes.
Is it close by?
Yeah.
I want you to go to his grave with the letter, and I want you to read it to him. Okay?
Yeah.
And one of the things I also want you to do is I want you to think back to your 20s. And I want you to think about the things that you were doing in your 20s before your dad died that you don't do now. What are those things?
Taking more risks.
Great.
I was pursuing some creative things.
Great.
And I don't do that anymore.
Okay, great. So creativity. Because what you're going to put in your letter is, and Dad, one of the things that I promised to you and to me that I'm going to do is I'm going to bring back what is the creative stuff you used to do, Ricky?
Acting.
I used to act. And I'm going to sign up for an acting class. I'm going to start going to auditions again. I'm going to join the community theater. I'm going to try out for the summer stock program. Is there anything else that you used to do?
Singing.
I'm going to start singing.
Writing.
Again. Great. Writing. Yeah. Amazing. Amazing. That's incredible. And the reason why this is so incredible is because a job change doesn't go deep enough to change what's actually blocking your life force and your happiness. And if I were to have started this conversation by going, hey, you know what you should do? You should just go act. You'd be like, what the fuck? No. But when you can connect it to the fact that there is this vibrancy, this self-expression this flow and exchange. Because what's interesting about acting and singing, right, and writing, is it's not just you going out, it's the love that comes back in from castmates and audience and musicians and all the people that are collaborating or witnessing that beautiful self-expression. And so that is a perfect pathway for you to change the direction of your life by simply adding in the things that got lost when your life got turned upside down. And I think the act of writing that letter and going to your dad's grave and making a promise to him and to yourself that this is what you're going to put back into your life will be a way bigger deal and a way bigger motivator than any formula that I could ever give you. See, the research shows that in order for somebody to achieve a goal, a dream, or make a change stick, there are two things that have to be present. You have to have the reason why you're doing it, and you've got to have the way or the how you're going to do it. And you're a smart cookie. You know how to audition. You know how to start singing again, whether it's in a church choir or with a group or whatever. You know how to act. You got the way all day long. You got to connect the why back to your dad and back to you giving yourself permission to be happy and to be proud of yourself. That's your why. And when you marry those two things with the step-by-step of just, oh, once a week I got to go to my singing group. Oh, once a week I got to audition for something. Oh, once a week we're done here. Because if you give yourself permission to do that, it will open up so much momentum and energy that you'll change your job like that. You'll start exercising and taking care of yourself. But that's the missing piece.
You know what I just thought of?
What?
So it's just like popped into my head. I used to really, really love working out, and it never felt like a chore. It was just something I loved to do, and I would be running. But when where I found out that my dad had passed away was when I just finished a workout, and I opened my locker and I checked my phone, and so I found out he passed away while I was at the gym. And after that, going to the gym, like, yes, I still went, but it never had the same momentum to it anymore. And I'm just connecting that right now.
That is a beautiful insight, a life-changing one. Because do you remember what happened let's go back to that moment. You open up the locker, you reach in and you grab your phone. And how did you learn?
There was several messages
Okay.
from my sister that were there. And so I called back, and then she had said to me, I told her I was at the gym, and she's like, okay, well, just call me when you get home. And I was like, what's going on? Something in me knew that, because he had been in the hospital at the time, and something in me, I was just like, just tell me, just tell me, just tell me. And then she told me.
See,
and I remember.
Yes, you remember because that's a traumatic event in your life. And it got married with something that you love to do. So it makes perfect sense that it pulled the ease and the joy out of the thing that you used to love to do. But now that you have that incredible self-awareness, I would include that in the letter.
Yeah.
That And I know you wouldn't have wanted it, and me to stop doing that, and I didn't either. And I just realized this, and I'm freeing myself of this, and I'm telling you I love you, and thank you for being proud of me. And I'm gonna start running again every day. I'm gonna start doing this. I'm gonna start living again. So I want to ask, for anybody that is just experiencing anxiety, or you just feel really stuck, how do you begin this process?
So most of the time, people come to me and they don't know they're avoiding. They have no clue they're avoiding. So the first step is really pausing. Give yourself 5 minutes. Sit down and think about the things that you want to do. So let's think about the dream life. What are the things you want to do? And then ask yourself why you're not doing it. What are the things that are getting in the way? And you're going to pretty quickly identify your avoidance. I'm not doing this because I'm afraid of heights. I'm not doing this because if I ask for a raise, they're going to find out that I'm not good enough. I'm not going on this date because I don't think I'm pretty enough, right? And so if you pause, think of your dream life, and then ask yourself, what are the obstacles here? You're going to identify the avoidance. That's the first step to changing.
Wow. And what if somebody goes, I don't really know?
So one way to do this is look at the mirrors in your life, your good friends. You might not want to call your avoidance, but your friends usually know when you're avoiding. My husband calls me out on it all the time. The other day I was on a plane, I got an email that I hated. I took a picture, sent it to him, and the text goes, do not respond. That's reacting. That's avoidance. You cannot do this, Luana. And I had composed the email back, by the way. I was about to send the email. Your family and friends, your loved one, your close friends, they are good mirrors for us. They make us better, especially those friends that can call you on your shit. Look at them and have a conversation about avoidance. I bet they can help you.
Amazing. What about people that have, what about parents or loved ones that have somebody that struggles with anxiety and a lot of avoidance? How do you support somebody?
So supporting somebody, especially in heightened anxiety, can be very challenging. I just had a client of mine say that he's in the end of his wife. Like, she won't get on a plane. She will not do anything that is physically active because increase. So they want to go on this beautiful vacation, but she's like, well, it has to be an electrical bike, and it has to be snorkeling, not scuba diving. Like, she's basically containing anything that's related. So he said to me, I'm done with this, right? The first piece is really trying to, number one, get the person some help if they are in that level of distress. But the second one is asking how you can be helpful. Okay? Because often we want to help people, but we want to help them in the way that we know to help. So the example of Oakley, and you're saying to him, like, just get over this. Because that works for you, Mel. Like, that works for you.
Sometimes.
But it seems like a strategy that you can muscle through, right? And so it's in the case of Oakley, it's like, what would be helpful? This is one piece. Like, what would be helpful for you right now? How can I support you? 2, if it is avoidance that person is sort of talking about, listen, I want to be helpful, but I'm not going to help you avoid. And that's important for parents. If your kid is terrifying going to school, keeping them at home is just adding to the avoidance. So how do I support my kid getting to school? I'm going to go with you onto the parking lot. We're going to go early, and I'm going to walk you to your classroom. I'm going to actually help you by staying with you a day at school, right? Parents tend to try to take their kids away. That's a parent level avoidance, and it's making your kids sick. So you need to find a way to approach with your kid at their level.
I made this mistake when our kids, Kendall and Oak in particular, had pretty significant episodes of anxiety. There was a 6-month period where each one of them slept on the floor of our bedroom. And I was so tired, that was my excuse, that I would just let them sleep there. They'd wander down in the middle of the night. I wouldn't want to have to get out of bed and walk them back up and deal with the pushback and deal with the emotions. And so I would let them stay there. And then it morphed into me just making a little bed on the ground on my side of the bed. And the funny thing is they were smart enough to know, even when they were sleepwalking, that they don't go to Chris's side of the bed because he would get up. They just come to mine. And I could almost, in the middle of my sleep, sense that they were there. And I would just lift up the blanket in the middle of the night. And it lasted for 6 months. I made it worse.
Yeah. And you're not alone, Mel. I've heard this from so many mothers before because, see, you're exhausted already, right? This is why I talk a lot about we need to learn to regulate ourselves and use those approaches for ourselves first so that we can be the best parents. Because if you're already on the negative, you did what you needed to do to survive, right? And I bet there's a lot of mothers listening to us who are doing similar things because they feel like they don't have anything on their gas, any gas on their tank, so they have to do this. And the thing is, it does make it worse. That's the only problem. And it makes it worse for you and the kid because we are teaching the opposite we want to teach the kid, right? And it is hard. Like my 5-year-old now has this thing with dogs, and I'm like, what I really want to say is, you're not afraid of dogs. Go talk. What I do is, okay, can we just stay far enough from the dog? Can you look at the dog? Can we? And, we had this conversation yesterday. I heard you had dogs. And I said, so if you meet her, she has dogs. But what am I going to do? And I said, we're going to stay there and we're going to learn about her dogs. But do I have to touch? No, you don't have to touch. But you have to show up and you have to be there because and there's this instinct as a mother. One day I saw myself wanting to cross the street because Diego was a big dog and I got a little uncomfortable. But I was like, I'll hold your hand and we're just going to wait. We're going to pause and we're going to let the dog go by. I'm not going to go towards the dog either, right? I could see the fear. But as a mom, I wanted to protect him. I wanted to take him out of there.
Yeah.
It is not what we want to do.
Wow. What about the sleeping example? What would you counsel a patient to do if they were in that cycle where a child's coming down, wanting to climb into bed? What do you do?
My husband did the sleep training at our house because I was like, I don't want to hear kids screaming. And so I'm sharing this as a mother because I remember Diego screaming for 2 or 3 days and now he sleeps really well. And so I'm very thankful to David. But what you want to do with sleep and any kind of things that are containment, right? Kids function better if they have a sense of safety and they know what to predict. And so you have that conversation that this is your bed and that's where you sleep. And you cannot have any sleep ups. So if the kid comes the first night and you're exhausted, you take them to their bed. And you might have to take them to their bed 10 times that night and 10 times the next night. But the first day that you let them sleep there, even for 10 seconds, you're basically telling them that they can push the boundaries. Kids are learning by our modeling.
It's true.
And once they learn it, kids are so good. They're going to push a little more. They're going to push a little more. And we then start giving a little more. And so in situations like this, it has to be zero tolerance. No, you don't come here. No, you don't come here.
You're right.
And pretty quickly, to tell you the truth is if you do that, you extinguish the behavior.
It's true because they're uncomfortable being alone in their bed. And so you're teaching them to tolerate that discomfort.
That's a skill they need to learn for the rest of their life because they're going to have to do, it's called emotion regulation psychology. And you're teaching them basic emotion regulation by teaching them that it's okay to have that discomfort and that they're safe in their bed. And over time, it goes away.
And that's what we need to teach ourselves.
That's exactly what
because
we
all
teach
of this
ourselves.
avoidance is simply us not being able to tolerate as adults our own uncomfortable emotions.
That is all there is. We get uncomfortable when we run like we're a kid. We go run into a parent's room and now we're stuck in a cycle.
Yeah. But instead of running to mom and dad's room, we're running to the vodka bottle, or we're avoiding the email, or we're holding on to the application because that's a way to avoid the risk or the pain or the fear that we have.
And we're just building more pain, more fear, and more discomfort.
This is so fascinating. Hey, it's Mel. Thank you so much for checking this video out. And if you like this one, I have a feeling you're going to like this one too. I'll see you there.